сторони, значить, ну ви як будете в себе власний подкаст робити, то з правої сторони вона вам покаже, що воно є лайв, і де ми можемо, і де воно показує, значить, тобто такі справи. Добре, отже, слава Ісусу Христу, отець Володимир з'явився. Отець Володимир з'явився. Дивіться. Раз, і нас вже четверо.
Ой, потіха.
Окей.
О, ми маємо такого дорогого гостя. Воу, то це
правда.
Отже.
З'єдналася. Ой, Боже, це ж ставний Саскатун, Боже, це ж, розумієте, відти почалася історія нашої церкви, каман.
Окей.
Земляцький син.
Оці, давайте скажемо молитву, а тоді будемо продовжувати нашу розмову. Отже, ще раз слава Ісусу
Христу. Я
Христу.
трошечки цього, але я на 5 хвилин спізнився.
Я нікому не скажу.
Ніхто не знає.
Ніхто не знає. Окей, добре.
Всіх чути?
Всім чути. Добре. Сьогодні дуже гарна якість сьогодні дуже гарна якість нашого бродкасту, отче Володимире.
Я не чую.
І я не знаю, чому не чуєш?
Не чую.
Кажу, сьогодні дуже гарна якість зображення є. І будемо починати разом з молитви. Отже, в ім'я Отця і Сина Святого Духа, амінь. Ім'я Отця і Сина Святого Духа, амінь. Ім'я Отця і Сина Святого Духа, амінь. Царю Небесний, утішителю душі істини, що всюди єси і все наповняєш, скарби, добра і життя подателю, прийди і вселися в нас, і очисти нас від всякої скверни, спаси благий душі наші. Слава Отцю і Сину Святому Духу, нині повсякчас, на віки вічні, амінь. Господи помилуй, Господи помилуй, Господи помилуй. Отче Саскатунський, благослови.
Нехай Боже благословений зійде на цей засідання сьогодні вечір, this meeting, that it be blessed by the Holy Spirit, that it be fruitful as we continue to spread the word of orthodoxy amongst our faithful. Амінь.
Амінь. Ім'я Отця і Сина Святого Духа, амінь. Отця і Сина Святого Духа, амінь. Ім'я Отця і Сина Святого Духа, амінь. Отже, почнемо з того ж самого, що ми кожної неділі, кожного разу починаємо. Отець Володимир, зараз ще його раз поставимо. Почнемо з того ж самого, що ми кожного тижня починаємо. А це те, якраз я хотів спитатися ті, що дивляться глядачів, котрою мовою ми будемо розмовляти сьогодні. Чи українською, чи англійською мовою. So, first of all, as we greet all of you today, all of those who watched our conversation today, as we greet all of you, I just wanted to ask, what language would you like us to use in our conversation today? Отець зараз випив води, значить, щось не в голову пішло. І такі то не справи. So please let us know by typing in the comment which language you want us to use. Іван, я бачу. Іване, so please let us know what language you would like us to use. Котру мову вживати. Ми почнемо з української мови. Отже, вітаючи всіх сьогодні, також хотів сказати, що завтра є День Святого Миколая, правда?
Великий праздник.
І це великий праздник нас, значить, є. І якщо ви були чемні, то вам Святий Миколай принесе даруночок. Я знаю, що коли я чемний, то мені кожного року Святий Миколай приносить шнурки і шкарпетки. Таке воно. Оці монреальські. А як у вас святкується, значить, цей Святого Миколая цього року?
Як в нас святкується? Ну, ми дуже скромненько відсвяткували тиждень тому назад перед закриттям школою. Ми мали нашу суботню школу. Ми завжди маємо таку помпезну Миколайчика, маємо концерт і так далі. Але мали дуже скромненькі в школі, тільки діти, батьків не було. От, маленька була програмка, діти розказали віршики, ми їх привітали, дали там маленькі подарунки, чоколядки їм. От, Добродіка то все організувала. От, а вже батьки вдома собі вже кажуть, дітям вже влаштовують свято Миколая.
Мгм.
Так
Отже,
нас так.
Отче Тарасе, а як у вас там в Саскатуні це робиться щось?
Well, це трохи тихіше, it's a little bit quieter. Я лише дивлюся тут з правого боку, що тут трохи по-англійськи, по-українськи, то я буду трохи
Окей,
вітати.
go ahead.
Цього року буде нам великий challenge. It's going to be a big challenge for us to have any kind of celebrations publicly. Ми рахуємо на завтра, tomorrow we're getting ready for a Святий Миколай presentation. It's from the church that we are going to be doing a live stream with Святий Миколай being present and some of the singing that we've saved from other years. Explanations of the Sciato, explanations of the icon, geared more towards the children for tomorrow. Then what we've been doing also is we've been having opportunities to have some religious classes via the live stream, also including them with the divine liturgies. At the very end of the divine liturgy, sometimes we have, like half the few, we have a little bit of a Sunday school lesson for everybody, and the adults seem to have caught on to that because it gives them an opportunity also to have some of their questions pre-asked, and I try to deal with these questions that they have. But otherwise, because of the COVID situation, it's slava Bože, mi živimo u Saskatchewani, because per capita basis is not that bad. I mean, any kind of amount of COVID is bad, but so far we seem to be doing rather well with dealing with the situation. This is not going to be normal.
They have a restriction. They have a restriction of the presence of the people, faithful to attend the service. They have a restriction, with certain people amount.
Right now, the Saskatchewan health authorities are saying maximum of 30 people. It doesn't matter whether it's a liturgy, whether it's a pochoron or any kind of a sacrament. Sometimes we do get close to 30, sometimes we haven't. We sort of quasi keep the doors to a minimum of closed, but people will register ahead of time. These last few Sundays, we even haven't had any communion, but when we did have communion and confession, it was out of a little paper cup, chashishka. But otherwise, that's going to be, I think, a big challenge for us once the doors do open again. There'll be a lot of missionizing work all over again for us to do. So whether it be like what the Ihor was saying, either telephone touch or by email or by text or by Facebook, which the one thing about Facebook, I'm not a huge proponent of Facebook, but Facebook for us is a very important way of keeping in contact with our faithful. Announcements, people that switch to Messenger to say, can I talk to you privately? As far as coming to church, though, if anybody wants to come to church and they give me a phone call directly and say, чи ми можемо зайти до церкви і там засвітити свічку або щось таке і сказати молитву, I never say no to that. I'll make arrangements that they are able to come into the church on whichever day suits them and say that prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's Ihor Kutash in Montreal. He's been doing a kafes to martyrs of Chinese povstania. Yeah.
The Holy Chinese Martyrs of the Boxer Uprising. I've been doing that akatist every day since March 15th to put an end to the pandemic. And at the end of the akatist, I read the prayer that was created by the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, the Orthodox Church of Ukraine. They did it in Ukrainian. I translated into English. I do it, depends who's there, Ukrainian or English. And the akatist the original is in English, and I've also had it translated. I translated it into Ukrainian with the permission of the priest who wrote it, Father Gregory Kosh of Hamilton. And I've been doing it by God's mercy every day.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
right now,
Father
just
Taras, sorry, Father Taras, with regard to Holy Communion, have you give it with the not one spoon, you know, with many spoons, yeah, you know.
No, I do know some priests that are using multi-spoons. I've heard of it. What we do, we had discussed this amongst the clergy at one of our conferences, and it was one of the Greek priests, retired professor, that I found a site on the Boston College. And it's the prosphora, or the achnitz, is placed in a little Dixie cup, for lack of terms, a smaller cup, and a bit of the blood of Christ. I touch the achnitz, and then I will place on a tatzan of Buddha the number of the people who have come or are going to be coming for communion, or children, and they will take, they will consume, and they will leave the Dixie cup. The Sashi brat will make sure the Dixie cup is brought back into the altar. There are a number of priests who are doing it. A number of priests also, I've heard that Navito Vantani in Ontario have used the wooden spoons or whatever, but either or, it's I think, you know, Dr. Kutash can speak quite a bit more about this, you know, since he's a professor in the college, but it's I think that at this point that this is the most responsible way for us as priests to make sure. But on the other hand, since this pandemic has gotten worse, even here in Saskatchewan, there's less people that are coming to communion right now, which is fine. You know,
How about the confession? Did the confession, you know, general, you know, or on a distance, you know, or how you, if people want to come to Holy Confession, how do you do that?
The ones who come to Holy Confession, they will stand in front of the gospel that we have on the side, on an unalloy. They don't kiss the gospel, but they'll cross themselves, venerate, and then I will stand within, you know, distance. There's no one else. I'll make sure that there's no one else in the church at that time. So they will come at different times very early on, and we will do the confession, and I will give them the absolution prayer with a straight blessing without having to touch their heads. However, this is a good this could go into a good debate, a good discussion, because I think that the prayer is the most important, not the physical action or the physical touch. My opinion, humbly, Ігор Kutash, as a professor.
Ігоре, що ви скажете?
The whole thing is important. The most important thing is that the person who's coming up for confession, just by that very act, is expressing repentance, for asking for forgiveness, and then the next thing is the prayer of absolution, and it does not require that anybody touch anybody. Now, if sometimes people do want to say things, and that's important. Well, what it's possible to do is to do that privately over the phone, by special appointment, but one should not in church, you know, get too terribly close. I myself have erred in that way, and thank God nothing bad has come of it, but I was soundly reprimanded for it, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting how practice of confession varies from the church to church, from town to town, city to city, almost from parish to parish, basically, you know. Or the same thing with communion. You know, that says that they're using what you would call it the Dixie cups, you know, and from March 15th, we haven't missed a service in our church, and and we use the spoons, the plastic spoons, and then we burn them, and then we bury them at the cemetery, and and I was asking from very beginning, I was asking the priest, how do they, like, why those spoons and not the other ones, So one of the colleagues of ours, had said that, well, we just like we read the prayer blessing of the spoon for one spoon, that communion spoon that you read in the Trabnik, part 2, Metropolitan Hilarion, you do the same thing for all of those spoons, and then as any other holy object, you burn and bury the ashes at the cemetery. So ever since then we started doing that, and ever since then that's what we're doing. I actually wanted to kind of we talked about this at quite a bit last 2 times, but I think that I wanted to move to if you guys don't mind, to celebration of St. Nikolai. We're gonna have a liturgy tomorrow with the church, and I think that there's a couple younger people will come in with their kids, and
We shall as well.
so I'm not quite sure what from the gift standpoint, because we always, like when the kids come in, we always use them, give them a gift and stuff like that. I'm not quite sure what we're gonna do this year, because by just giving a gift, you give you open up a lot, like a venue for cross contamination, I guess. So what do? We don't know, but I will have to figure it out by tomorrow morning. But I have a few phone calls that people have phoned and said we would like to come. We would like to come tomorrow for a service. Is it possible?
Yes, I have Father George Brigadier on the phone. And we're on the internet. There's 4 of us priests: Father Ihor Okhrimtchouk, Father Volodymyr Kouchnir, and Father Taras Makovsky. Father George greets all of you.
Well, we greet him back.
And you are greeted back. And we'll talk another time. Okay, Batyushka?
We call him Bishop Juvenali.
Oh, you got it. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, bye-bye.
Ihor, you're speaking with the children coming to the church, and they'll be more than likely expecting some type of little gift or whatever from their родичі. Те, мені, найважніше, щоб діти прийшли, and even if mama and tata keep them in this certain little circles. Але коли, прийдеться, що на кінець служби, when the liturgy is completed already, and already, we are off the live stream, and sometimes the priest will come out of the royal doors to say something yet when we're already not in live stream. І час від часу the little kids will run up to the front, watch, and they give you a big hug. I don't think that's a terrible thing, to have that personal contact.
It's the circumstances that forcing us for that distance, but normal state of affairs, especially in the church, in a healthy relationship, is that sense of a touch, I guess. As a professor of ethics, what's your take on that?
Well, I don't think that there's any one answer that fits all. I think that it's a question of our relationship with the person and the person's relationship with us. We are ministering to persons, not ministering just to people, some kind of a faceless mass. So I think you have to gauge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously, if we were going to go for a rule, we would say that social distancing is very important. But there are times when a priest cannot just simply social distance. There are times when you do have to. But what I do the elbow bump, but I always say a hearty elbow bump you know, with my words, try to make up for the fact that we are not hugging as we wish we could do, right? So I try to do that. And if somebody insists that they would like to a hug, I will hug them. I won't hold back.
Absolutely.
Prayerfully asking God to help and protect. So far, it seems to be okay.
And sometimes I see like people, you greet people, and they kind of, well, they want to just, you know, they want to hug them and so on, you know. I would not say, okay, no, I don't want to hug because, you know, this is coronavirus, you're gonna have to keep a distance. You know, I'm not doing this. You know, as the father said, you know, Taras, you know, so it's there, you know, because, yeah, I knowing that there is a restriction, you know, distance and so on, but sometimes, you know, not could be exceptional because you never know, like, you know, people that moment maybe they need that, you know, you want to hug them, you know, to kind of express their support and so on, you know. In that moment, if you reject people, maybe people sometimes they're not kind of, you know, simultaneously do it, like, you know, just not think about that, you know, maybe, but if people sometimes make us approach, you know, make a steps to that, you know, I do the same, you know, I hug them, you know, and greet them, you know, that's it.
Yeah, that's a very complex question, you know, that really is not one answer fits all, like we were saying, you know. I don't know. You know, when I lost my mother, somebody came. Well, that's Volodymyr. You gave me a hug too at the altar in our church, you know. So, and you came from Montreal, so it's wasn't like a, but you know, it's a hug of support and stuff like that. And you're right. You know, there are circumstances that words will not suffice, kind of thing. You know, that
Yeah.
there has to be more than just words. You know what I mean? And perhaps even elbow bump is not going to suffice.
Well,
you know?
I take the initiative when I see people. I take the initiative by sticking out my elbow. Hey, elbow bump, and people seem to like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It seems to create a friendly, welcoming atmosphere, which is what one wants.
Father Taras, do
Absolutely.
you have a choir at the church to sing the divine liturgy, or you have just maybe only a cantor and that's it in your church?
Right from the beginning, Otche Volodymyr, it was our practice to have any place from 3 to 5 cantors from the choir. So there would be pretty much all the way from the beginning. There was always Larry Klapushak, you know, Tigu Dushoveznayete, Stan Harelio, Robert Rudy, Tepat Petrusia, Hori Pomahai, John Demke, Tepat Pomahai. So we had a core of 3 to 5 strong singers, and that's why you know, it sounded very nice. But I mean, you know, you could see that the microphones are any place from 5 to 7 feet apart, and they're all set up. So I mean, unfortunately, the people don't see them on the live stream, but everything is done properly within the SaskHealth orders.
Yeah,
and they will wear either the plastic masks or whatever.
So you have a live stream. You have a live stream. You know, every Sunday you have a live stream. Yeah.
Pretty much, except like this last Sunday when I was sick, there was no live stream because, you know, it was nothing more than just a terrible flu bug. Yes. I'll tell you, this is when you start to think, you know, ви стараєтесь, щоб бути, you know, обережним. But sometimes, you know, підете купити якісь groceries з магазину, you know, you never know what's out there, you know, in walking around in the grocery store or whatever. And you can be as safe as you want, but something may be there. And я пам'ятаю, we were at some conventions and I said that, you know, do you expect us to stay in our homes and hide for the rest of, you know, the winter or possibly into next fall? Well, то неможливо. I mean, люди не можна там сидіти, you know, ховатись. We have to get out and we have to be social with people. That the same, to Pat, if you get a phone call from, taking this one step further, you get a phone call from the nursing home or from the care home. Людина вже на смерть вже стукає, так сказати. What do? You, like Lieutenant Ihor says, you put your trust and your faith in God and dress up properly, and you hope that, that the Holy Spirit is going to guide you. I mean, there's common sense, but then there's also common sense for the priest. Like, I mean, you still have to do your responsibilities, deal with your responsibilities as best as possible. And like Nazalter for this, when there'll be kids in church, or when there'll be kids in church, even on over the next few Sundays, as we prepare. Na Święto Światwacze, we're going to have our, evening liturgy on the 6th, and then we'll have probably the tape program on the 7th on the Sunday morning, just rebroadcast all it. It's difficult. We have sign-up sheets, we have registration sheets for the liturgies, but it's difficult that if you say, well, вже, 15 людей, що там вже реєстрували, а ще прийдеться, може, 5 їх, if they forget to phone the priest or they forget to phone the person in charge of registering. Well, you're not at 30 maximum yet. You sometimes have to, again, make a judgment call that, there's lots of room in the church, and it's still nice, to hear someone in church besides the choir or the choir people.
Absolutely.
And I think this is the biggest challenge for us, піти за місто, десь їхати на будні дні, and, you come to these, you drive past a Protestant church, а там, in the parking lot, повно людей. Well, they're not keeping 30 maximum. And you just pray and hope that they're going to be fine. Because, of course, they have to look after each other.
But police, we are very strict. Like, for example, we had a gathering, it's called Clergy Association, or the Clergy Association. We just have just 4 of us, the Romanian priest, 2 Romanian priests, and Antiochians, and 2 of us. So it's about 5 of us. And the Romanian priest told that, the police came to one of the Romanian church came police came, and there was 2 more people, in the church that they give a fine. It's very strictly, and one police called to Father Toma Ilia. He's the head of the Clergy Association. He told them, probably he's a Greek, because, I know you. He told, I know you're the head of the association, so I just want to warn you that, the Christmas coming up, make sure, it's 25 people no more, just because they will kind of watch, and come to check and so on. If there is a more than 25, they give a very big fine. It's not.
Well, Boże, he talks to us, I mean, we have to be careful. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to live within the guidelines. And if you're living within the guidelines, you have a good chance of never getting sick, or the people not getting sick.
Yeah, you're right, Father. You're right,
Yeah.
І ви знаєте самі, це дуже тяжко сказати людям, sorry, you can't come this weekend.
Yeah, I know that.
Because you know what? You're a nice guy when you're a priest, and you're a bad guy when you're a priest. There's no happy medium.
Oh.
Particularly, like, Father, like to me, I have a really, really big challenge, and does not give me the peace. For example, Christmas coming up, and we have a restriction to the people, and how can some people register? Some people will call and say, sorry, you're full. We don't have a place for you. So, you know what I mean? And some people probably might be rejected, and kind of feel bad and so on. And, I my opinion of, it's not okay. Yes, it would be nice to have a people, the church at least, but maybe just to tell people, look, there is no, there is only on, online, and forecast, and that's it, for everybody, so that then make a selection, like, that reject people. You know what I mean. You know, so because it's a Christmas, people sometimes more people want to come to the church, you know, and so on. And you have to have that limit, you know. And some people they come, some people, you know, you have to say no. You know, it's really hard to say no.
Tamakovek, I think you have the most strictest regulations right now.
Yeah. Well, I think that
Alberta.
I think in Montreal right now is a red zone, right? So
Yes.
you're allowed to what, 10 people in the church? No, 25 people in the church. Right?
25.
But 25 ще. А там в Оттаві скільки?
В Ottawa, we are very good actually here. We are up to 50 people in the church,
Oh.
you know, and we have a hall that can fit up to 50 people too. But our church capacity is about 30 people, including priests and the cantor and the starship brat. So we have like 25 people allowing to come to the church, and then we have a broadcast downstairs to our church hall. So there could be 50 people, but we never had that capacity filled yet. So, we haven't really. We had couple times people that were sitting in the hall downstairs, but not all upstairs, kind of thing. You know, so.
Є моє питання для вас. So what are we gonna do? Чи що ви там, як ви будете службу мати на святвечір, наше свято?
Well, we have at 9 o'clock. We have a велике повечіря with Litia.
Yeah.
9 o'clock.
We will have that in our church as well.
Yeah, and also there is 25 people in a capacity. We accepted, like, you know, those people who wants to come. You know, we have Litia, велике повечіря, то будемо колядки, будемо співати і так далі. От ми маємо це 6 січня. Next day, you know, 7-го, звичайно, літургія різдвяна. How about отче Тарасе, як там у вас?
Буде велике повечір'я. Починається в 10-й годині. Тоді зараз після літії, то зараз починаємо вже службу Божу. То прив'язано разом. So it's going to be 10 o'clock, повечір'я compliance, літія, бум, свята літургія. А десь так до пів до другої, 1:30 we're finished.
Oh,
Wow.
This is like exactly like, you know, and in all in Старому краї that we have. I remember, like, you know, like in my church, you know, village, you know, we have a повечір'я, служба, up to, like, you know, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, the whole evening,
Yeah.
like Easter. Oh,
Yeah.
and
Ці на Великодні свято, то ми вже раненько десь починаємо в 5-й годині. Рано.
And here in Montreal, we still keep old tradition. Like, you know, we have a хресний хід, you know, утрення і нічна відправа.
Ці, то люди просять, я знаю, що коло вас також, у вашій громаді, that you have lots of нові прибулі in the last 15-20 years, що приїхали.
Yes.
And я знаю, що на наші свято, різдвяні свято, they're all okay with the midnight service. А вже на Великодні свято, отче, а що, ви забули? It's hard, you know, and there's two trains of thought that I know. When I first met Отець Куташ in the college, it was Отець Ярмус at that time, and it was Отець Юрківський, and he said, well, знаєте, it's nice to hear Христос воскрес when the sun is coming up. So, at the same time, you know, то ще співається, як вже починається півночі, you know, колядувати, well, then the celebration is on right through till February 15th, you know, with the колядки і щедрівки.
Yeah. Це цікаво, тому що, знаєте, в нас так само буде, так як отець Володимир говорить, ми почнемо з Великого повечір'я, напевно, в 9 годині вечора, закінчимо повечір'я з літією, і тоді ми маємо перерву, а тоді літургію служимо зранку на Різдво. Бо так само, як ми керуємося тим же самою мотивацією, як і на Пасху, знаєте, тобто ми служимо пасхальну, ми читаємо діяння святих апостолів, після цього ми служимо повечір'я, після того служимо утренню. І як вже заспівали Христос Воскрес, то тоді, значить, ми вже за цей посвятили Пасхи. І тоді наступного ранку ми приходимо на 8 чи на 7 годину ранку і починаємо літургію тоді, знаєте, так що такі справи. Але ми користуємося не такими якимись богословськими міркуваннями, ми користуємося меркантильними міркуваннями. We're not thinking of some kind of theological reality. We're talking about, how to be able to serve more people, as many people as we can, basically. So.
And you see, Ihor, that's exactly the way it was in Western Canada. And this is the beauty of Western Canada and Eastern Canada, because ви не маєте ті фармерські парафії, що ви можете відвідувати. Я виріс на фармерську парафію, things were done differently. I remember when I first came to college, хто тебе так вчив співати? Well, there's so many different diaken when you got like 10 different parafi in an okruch. And each diak will have his own little twang, but it's all okay. So, and the other thing is, коли починаєш служити так на свят вечір. Well, the only time there was a свят вечір, якась служба на свят вечір, that was in your main center. So like in Kamsak Okruha, we'd go to Kamsak на свят вечір. And then sometimes already over the next few days, everybody would have a little bit of a Christmas service to taste. А тут, в Саскотуні, то знову мені трохи інакше, because одна парафія, одна, місія, то все. And it's like, well, aren't you going to come out, or maybe aren't you going to drive out to Smuts or Walk or whatever else? Well, no, but я тут маю доглядати. So this is the beauty of Western Canada and Eastern Canada, and this is why these, almost like a different, not a tradition, but different ways of doing things.
Ways to approach it, yes, yeah.
Ways to approach it.
Father Taras, do you have lots of newcomers from Ukrainian to your parish?
О, Боже сохрани. Вже через останні 18 років. Бо я вже кінчаю 20-й рік тут. Over 18 years there has been on my private list that I had with names and families. I was, before this pandemic and before the sort of the disappointment with the oil industry, I had 500 families on my list, my private list. А тепер, я думаю, що трохи менше, probably we're down to about 350, бо люди, знаєте, they're very transient. Як вони можуть приїхати з України, то що то їхати до Торонто або, Vancouver? It's nothing to go look for a job. And that's the issue right now in Western Canada, job stability. That's the biggest part. Але знаєте,
they come to the church, Novoprid come to the church, and you have a service bilingual, every Sunday, like, English.
Tepar, it's probably more bilingual than it was when I first came. When I first came, it wasn't as bilingual. Tepar, it's probably, China, the choir is only starting to, salt and pepper a little bit in English, but otherwise it's pretty much Ukrainian. I'm doing probably half and half.
It's
what do you take in English? What's part of English? What part of Ukrainian?
You know what? I remember Покійний Владика Василій. Отче, творіть райські двері, open up the royal doors, take a look, make the right decision. And you know what? He was such a humble man.
Yes, it is. I remember him. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, he scolded us when we had to get a scolding, but otherwise he was very, very easy to work with. At the parish, I'm in a unique situation also, but yeah, from all over Europe. But that's Ihor Okhrimtchouk knows, a lot of the people. It's not any different from Dauphin when I was in Dauphin. All over Europe. And then I had people from Africa also. And when they приходили because they said, you know what, Father, why we come to the cathedral? Because we love the choir. We don't understand as much, but we love the choir. That's what made them feel that they were close to God.
Ocha, just to kind of quickly mention, in our comments somehow, because I scroll through the comments on my church Facebook, and a comments saying that there's people from Edmonton, we have people from Australia, Melbourne, Australia, Галя тут є, так що Галю, вітаємо вас. We might people from Edmonton watching, and And there's some comments, about отець Діякон Василій каже, що в Альберті тільки 15% дозволяється того, що вміщається в церкві, тільки дозволяється прийти до церкви. Only 15% are allowed to come to the church of the church capacity. And Lawrence Chubey said that in Manitoba we are in the red zone, only 5 people in the church until January 8th. Only 5 people in the church.
Wow.
So it was the same thing that when the COVID started, for Pascha, we also were allowed to 5 people in the church, so that was tough because for Pascha I really loved people coming in, mingling, and we had right after the church service we had a spilne sverchane in the church, like we would sit, even though we would start service at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, but done by 10, blessing of the baskets by 10:30. We would sit there till 2:30 p.m., just hang out and chat and stuff like that. And this year we're done. We're done by 10 o'clock. No, we did all the way through, this year, and it just, you're missing the people. What I mean? It's such
Yes.
a empty effect of it, But right now in Manitoba is the same thing. 5 people in the church, So it's a very tough predicament.
Alberta, how many are you?
15%.
15%.
Of capacity of the church, so.
Well, that's no more than 20.
Diakon Василій каже, що Святий Миколай visited the school I work at and took the proper precaution, and the children were just as excited. They still wanted that sense of touch. It was a great teaching moment for Святий Миколай to teach the children that social distance is important, but there are times when we crave that extra support. So very, very well said. But again, this year is probably the first year in the history of our parish, that we do not have a live Svятий Миколай who comes into
Or a concert.
for either for a concert, even to get together with kids and stuff like that. So it's tough.
Well,
Quick question to ask you.
in heaven, so he can invisibly be present everywhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that when we were in Ottawa making the Svятий Миколай celebrations, we did it a couple years in a row, that when all of the Ukrainian community have done one Svятий Миколай. Once it was at Father Maxim's church parish hall, a couple of times in our church hall, one time in the Ukrainian Catholic hall, And what would happen is that, true to our tradition, we never see Svятий Миколай, right? He only walks with the bag past the windows, So, and that he would be there and stuff like that. So, and then gifts coming up and so on. But unfortunately, that did not last, because some people wanted it on the new calendar, some people wanted it on the old calendar, and so on and so forth. So that's a long story to talk about. Ihor, you were saying something.
I was saying that since Saint Nicholas is in heaven, he is also at the same time everywhere we are remembering him, everywhere we are celebrating him, even though we don't see him. We see him in the icons, but he's invisibly present with us.
Absolutely.
In Christ, there is no separation between us.
In his relics,
Not only Saint Nicholas, but all our loved ones, living and dead. As a matter of fact, there are no dead in Christ. Everybody's alive.
Absolutely.
And we are always together. And especially when we're doing divine liturgy or a celebration of people's lives, we're always together. All of us are together.
Yeah. That discus puts us all together,
That's right. It's a symbol of what is real, what is really happening. It's not just the bread on the discus. It is actually, that bread symbolizes what is really happening in the church. We are every one of us are together present.
Absolutely.
to the Eucharist.
There's a story about a Greek priest, Father Planas, that one day he was celebrating the Easter service, and there was hardly any visible people in church, but when he cried out, "Christ is risen," the people heard a whole chorus of people responding, "Indeed, he is risen."
By the way, just going back to the number of people present, Otec Mikhailo Pozdik just wrote from Surrey, BC, I guess. He said that in BC, all in-person religious gatherings and worship services are suspended until January 8th. It means people should not attend church, synagogue, or mosque services. So all religious services are suspended. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing, It's interesting that in Ottawa, we are extremely blessed because our number of cases is manageable for a city with a population of 1 million people. We only have one person in ICU, and we have 23 people in the hospital, that was COVID. So that in itself is a blessing, but we have a very, just like in Quebec, we have very strict measures for what do you call it, for those who trespass the gathering limits, kind of thing, So
but what's happened with our Sobor is going to be postponed again. How about election about Голова Президії Консисторії is going to be postponed? I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay. So, Otche Ihor, yes, you were at the consistory meeting yesterday, right? No, today.
I was not at the consistory meeting. I've been reading the stuff that they are sending out, but I was not at the meeting.
Oh, okay. So, would you enlighten us what's happening there?
Well, what there are is Father Taras Udod is posting all sorts of reports that are on there about what's going on. There's the financial report, there's various commission reports that are on there to be read.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's interesting also that I wanted to mention that when we start talking about Святвечір celebration and stuff like that, в нашій парафії, over a good number of years, we had, and we talked about it last time, we had a Святвечір dinner in the church hall. Mm-hmm. But when it became too unmanageable, we started doing Svятвечір dinner to go. So we package this, people buy it, purchase it, and we'll deliver it. This year, it's very tough with finding social distance, even for Svятвечір dinner to go. So I'm not quite sure if we'll be able to even do that this year, but we're looking at the fact that we would like to get at least to the shut-ins dinner to be delivered, at least some minimal dinner to be delivered, for all of our shut-ins. We don't have that many, about 25 to maybe 27 people who shut-ins, who are living alone and stuff like that. But we still do not want to miss those people, and so we'll be asking some people to donate in containers some food, like kutya, a little bit of vareniki and stuff like that, and we'll deliver it to their places on 5th and 6th of January, basically. We were still contemplating to do take-out dinner to go because it was extremely popular. You make 12 dishes. They call the church. They pick it up, pre-order it, pick it up. And it was a good fundraiser for the church. At the same time, it was a good way of keeping traditions for our traditions as well. But this year is different. It's just we don't want to risk the volunteers' health, to take any additional risk, to basically move towards that. I don't know. It's very tough, basically. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's good public relations if the church can do it without offending the health authorities.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to carry that on, but I think right now, як неможливо мати ось ці концерти, все решта на День Святого Миколая. If Mikołaev, he can't hand out gifts. I can't see it getting any better by Rіздво Святвечір, that there'll be any meals being like Meals on Wheels or whatever the case may be considered.
Yeah. But like I said, in Ottawa, we're blessed. We don't really have that many cases of COVID-19. And health officials and law enforcement agencies are working very hard to make sure that that does not expand too much. Having said that, just read on the way home, and before I came here, I heard the story that the police busted a party with 91 person in it.
Wow.
A house party with 91 person in it.
Wow. Incredible.
So I don't know. It must be a really big house, or
And they must have got a lot of money out of that.
well,
The fines.
The owners of the house is $10,000 penalty.
Wow. An expensive party.
Yeah. I think I could wait for a couple more minutes, a couple more months to have that party.
Well, I am particularly sad that this year, for the first time since 1973, I won't be able to be with my Alberta family for Christmas. But we are talking about doing Christmas in July.
Oh.
By then, hopefully, everything is clear, and we have Światweczór and everything in July.
I just kind of learned today also the interesting fact that I'm not quite sure. Hala is here, so from Australia, so maybe she can clarify that. Is in Australia, do they celebrate in summer the Christmas as well, or?
Well, of course, because the seasons are the opposite there.
Okay. So well, I just learned today that in Australia they celebrate Christmas in the summertime. Like what we would call it in June or something like that.
You must be, some of you must be familiar with this wonderful song for children, the Santa Claus and the Six White Boomers.
Oh yeah.
Where in Australia, Santa Claus is not driven about by reindeer, but by great big daddy kangaroos.
Yeah.
So it's Six White Boomers racing Santa Claus through the blazing sun. Six White Boomers on his Australian run.
Yeah, wow.
Lovely song.
I haven't heard about this, but it's kind of interesting.
Well, you'll find it on YouTube. Six White Boomers. They're called boomers because of the sound they make when they're jumping on the ground.
Oh, okay. I see. Keep learning something new every time. Anyways, is there any questions that those who are watching it would like to pose to our crowd? Please do so. We will be more than happy to answer that if we know. If we don't, we will say we do not know. And we have almost the end of our conversation for today. We have about 5-6 minutes. That's why we're asking for a question to be posed. As I look from the demographics, there's lots of people from all across Canada, and both in Montreal and Ottawa and Prairies are watching today. So thank you very much for doing this, and we'll continue working with that in the new year as well, right? Mm-hmm. Next Friday. Next Friday is, according to the new calendar, or according to the Gregorian calendar, right? It's Christmas Eve, day of the Christmas Eve.
Oh, Father,
Christmas
Father
Day. It's the 25th.
25th, okay.
Father Taras, are you ever consider to celebrate maybe in the future Christmas on the 25th instead of 7?
No. Я скажу чому.
Why?
It makes us unique. I've been having interviews yet in Dauphin, and I've been doing interviews regularly in Saskatoon with quite a few people. Some of you know Mike Tiona. There's your Alberta connection, Oche Doctor. And for me, for us, for my children, they always said that January 6th is a special day because all of the commercialism is gone.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, the very religious, the very God-fearing people who celebrate December 25th can also say that it's for them a very spiritual holiday, and it is. But what happens is that our business community has commercialized it so much that it's nothing more than just as much money as we can spend. And this is why I don't think it's going to happen. Perhaps, though, you know, I was reading Metropolitan Epiphanes' post one day, Ukrainian, that doctor is already smiling. He knows where I'm going with it. There was some talk with it. There was also a mention by Sviatoslav Ukrainian, the Uniate bishop. I suppose it's going to happen. You know, it's all going to depend on what's going to happen with Ukraine. You know, for us, you know, if they do go that way, do we follow suit? But right now, no, I don't. I think that I am very happy, and most of the people will say that they are very happy with the 7th of January. Some of the younger families, you know, say, well, it'd be nice, you know, щоб разом святкувати на 25. Well, as a priest, we can, you know, you can't go visit the family on the 7th. They either come to you or they don't. So, you know, for the December 25th, поки що мої родичі були на фармі, ще жили, you know, we would slip out to see mom and dad at the farm. You know, because that was it. We were able to do that. Тепер, you know, to неможливо. Everybody comes here.
Because
the you know, the pros, the cons, the discussions, the debates all around the 25th of December, I think they all have some merit. But right now, for the first, you know, 1600 years plus, then it was not until sometimes in the 19th century, when finally they started having strictly the December 25th and the January 7th celebrations. So from a spiritual sense, no.
Because, for example, across our cathedral, there is Ukrainian Catholic Church, so they have a meeting.
It's that's Volodymyr propal. It's interesting that, you know, when we talk about we welcome, of course, Sherry from John Demkiuk says,
there he
not
is.
in my lifetime that we're gonna have a celebration on December 25th. It's all January 7th. And then we had some people from BC now joining us as well. I wanted to mention that when you think about this, you know, we have like yesterday and today I had met some really interesting people, you know, who have no how would you say it, who have not had a regular relationship with the community, and they don't even consider themselves Ukrainian. They consider themselves Ruthenian, whatever, you know, like other ethnicity. Have not have a known connection with anything Eastern Orthodox or anything Ukrainian for that matter, you know, for probably for 2 generations, you know. And I spoke with them at public school, you know, and they're saying, listen, we would like to come and you would like to check it out. It's the call of the ancestors. And they said, oh, thank God that it is on 7th of January, you know. It makes more sense to us, like Otec Taras said, not to have such a commercialized venture for the Christmas. So you're completely right, you know. So
But still, it's a holiday, you know, and people, you know, still celebrating, you know, and they have a, you know, because it's a feast. We have it's at my Christmas Advent, and people still celebrate. You know, but by the way, you know, across the church, our church, the Ukrainian Catholic Church, they have a meeting. 70 people, more than 70 people voted, you know, to change the calendar. So this is the first year they're going to celebrate, you know, officially here in Montreal, you know, East, December 25th.
well, thank you for that church.
Yeah, знаете, що for me, it's also important to say I come from also a background where some of my family celebrates December 25th. At least they celebrate, you know, what Christmas is all about. You know, if that's the case, I don't think it's for us to say, you know, you're definitely wrong or you're definitely not. But it's not as strict. I think the celebration is there, but it's not as strict as dating the Pascha. That's the one that is the more important one. You know, December 25th, January 7th, I don't think it's going to bother us too much. But the most important thing is that we celebrate, that we recognize that our families and that our friends are celebrating some kind of a nativity, you know, of Jesus Christ. That Jesus Christ is still important. You know, Jesus Christos ще існує. I mean, without a church, without Jesus, there's no church. Так хоче доктор. I mean, it's as simple as that. But on the other hand, it's not a big. It's not. I don't think it's as big semantically when it comes to the date of the Pascha. Like when you celebrate two Paschas in 1 year, canonically, it's incorrect.
No, what exactly did he rise, right?
Yeah,
That
when
would be
did
the
he
question.
rise?
When
Yeah.
exactly is he rising, you know?
Бо старий Йосиф там сидить, там узаді, то скільки разів ми будемо співати «Єно Христос воскрес»?
Actually, we celebrate Pascha every Sunday.
Yeah.
Every Sunday. In Jerusalem, every Sunday when they celebrate the liturgy, they sing Christos Anesti every Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
wow.
you, Otec Volodymyr, bring up a good point, because this is something that we will, you know, as clergy should sit down someday and have a good discussion about this. And a discussion where no one's going to be offended because they want to put their opinion forth.
Yeah.
Right? And I think everybody's opinion is correct. Mine might be more correct. You understand?
Everybody's opinion has merit.
Merit.
It may not be correct.
Yes.
Whose is correct, but each one has merit.
That's
Father,
right.
Father Taras, would you like to join with us, you know, next time, you know?
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. This is a beautiful
I'm,
opportunity. And I was telling Otec Ihor that'd be a beautiful opportunity also to get involved with the rotation that you have placed between the four of you. There was the fourth priest of having prayers every morning or prayers every evening, you know, commemorating the saint and what the saint is all about. Because right now, you know, and I've been thinking about this. This is one for next time when we do get together. Dorihilotsi. Have we, now with this pandemic, and watch it, doctor, you're the what you might call most senior today. Have we thought about how we are going to come out of this pandemic? Or are we just going to say, you know, Святий Дух нам треба якийсь поміч? I think it will be upon us to have some kind of a vision, not a plan, but a vision how we are going to rebuild, because we will have to rebuild.
Yeah. That's a very good questions. But I'm looking at it, we had exhausted our time limit, and I'm not quite sure that. Well, we can talk for a long time yet, because the question that Otec Taras poses is very pivotal about what's happened after post-pandemic. And I think every business organization right now is asking that question to business schools, universities, and stuff like that. You know, so what's going to happen after that? And it probably would be a good topic for discussion. I just wanted to say that
Pick a question. We got 5 minutes for a good question.
my phone died, so so I don't know who's asking the question, who's not.
So maybe we'll take that up next Friday.
Sounds like a plan.
So next Friday is December 25th.
5th.
Should we?
No,
Actually, why not?
I'm going to celebrate the Christmas. Come on, я є новий календарник. Come on, ви не знали це?
I'll raise a con.
We will be guided by you, Father Ihor. You are our host. You the man. You will tell us what to do.
December 25th, since we are at home and not celebrating Christmas, you know, let's do it next Friday, December 25th. For those who will join us, will join us. For those who would not, would not. But I also wanted to mention that then day after or Friday after is January 1st. And January 1st is Father Ihor Kutash's birthday.
No!
No,
And mine's
no.
December 30th.
January 1st.
And
So,
mine's
so
December
January,
30th.
actually, January 1st, it's your birthday, right?
It is.
January 1st is the Friday after that, you know, so I don't think
We
we'll
could
be
meet
able
on
to.
January 1st and have a toast.
Отец Тарас має December 30th, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
And I know how you
yes.
feel about your doctor because it's one present for birthdays and Christmases, so regardless.
And Father Volodymyr is January 3rd. Right, Father?
Yes, yes, yes.
There it is. All Capricorns.
All Capricorns. Це такі...
All goats.
All
Goats.
All
Don't
goats.
call my wife that.
All goats.
такі уперті буковинці. Уперті буковинці.
Оце правда. Це правда.
Окей, треба, як починаємо про буковинців говорити, треба закінчувати це все. Окей, so оці 25 числа зустрічаємося, а тоді після того ми будемо зустрінемося аж 14-го на Новий рік.
Добре.
Тому що 1 числа буде Новий рік за новим календарем, отця Ігоря день народження буде, многає літа, отець Тарас ще буде відходити від свого дня народження, многає літа, отець Володимир буде доходити до свого дня народження.
Так є, так є.
Многає літа.
І не тільки много літа, а много літра.
Літра.
Orange
Ну,
juice. Orange juice.
Orange
Много
juice,
літра
літра.
orange juice.
Well, I have to tell you, like since I started having a problem with my engine, I do not consume any of that stuff except for the communion wine. But yes, if the health permits, go for it, So це таке воно. Добренько, отці дорогенькі. Я думаю, будемо закінчувати. I think we'll be finishing it up. We had again good light discussion with Tarasa. Otec Taras had purchased that same software. He wants to do it within the realm of his parish, this type of conversations as well. And I think the more we do converse, the more we communicate together across the board, the better it would be, the more clear would be a plan for us to reemerge from the pandemic,
Yes.
Because I think the broadcasting of the services will stay with us for good. And I do believe that, we talked at St. Andrew's College and the consistory, we should do this, or we should do the broadcast. It never came to be. I think, what do you call it? I think the pandemic had become a catalyst, for us to use the computer internet resources to bring us closer together, to learn about our faith and to have a discussion and dialogue. That's right. Отче Тарасе, скажіть молитву, будь ласка.
В ім'я Отця і Сина і Святого Духа, амінь. В ім'я Отця і Сина і Святого Духа, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Богородиця, Діва, радуйся, благодатна Марія, Господь з тобою. Благословенна ти між нами, благословення утроба твоєї, бо ти породила Христа Спаса душ наших. Слава Отцю і Сину і Святому Духу, повсякчас, на віки вічні. Амінь. Господи, помилуй, Господи, помилуй, Господи, помилуй. Отче, доктори, благословіть.
Благослови нас, які тут зібралися, благослови наші пастви, дай здоров'я і сила нам, тепер і завжди, і на віки віків. Амінь.
Амінь.
Дякую дуже, Соломі. Тримайся здорові. Nice to see
Дякую,
your smiling faces.
На добраніч, щастя і здоров'я всім.
Так, як вони кажуть.
Тримайтеся моцно, як овценки до свяка.
Так є, так є.
Або кажуть, тримайтеся горішком.
Горішком, так.
Так.